Yeah, g'day YouTubers. Tinker O'Toole again here with another video. Today we're going to talk about your traditional C grind and the V grind. Now the V grind virtually looks like Hexa. So with your typical C grind, which has been around forever, and it's created also either by a round file or it's created by a grinding wheel. In either case, this is the C shape that you're looking for, and if you're using a file, you're trying to create a 60-degree angle right at the working corner up here. Now, this is easy achievable if you put a little bit of a point, or if you make this type of profile. I call it V because it looks like a V. And if you actually look at it like that, it's at 90 degrees. So I experimented going back ages ago. And if you look up here in the top left-hand corner, that's my V-cut. I just called it V-cut. And I experimented with it and to find out what angle works better. Husqvarna had their X-cut, and they've got the little tiny point there that only comes down about a millimetre or so. And Stihl have their Hexa, which comes down the side plate about 70% down on the flat section of the side plate, then goes another 60 degrees that way. So 60 degrees in, 60 degrees out. So the span is 120, where I got 90. Now, I also tried 100 and 110, and I tried 120, which is if I do 120, that's exactly the same as a Hexa. So I didn't want to do exactly the same as a Hexa. I wanted to be a little bit different. But I found 100 degrees works quite well. And on the side plate, I also found out that if you come down about even halfway down the side plate, works quite well. So then you find out that this down angle will be longer than this angle here. So long as we come down on the side plate about 1.5 mil, because it's the working corner that does all the work. This part down here doesn't do much. It's the same as on the even on, this is a semi-chisel, and you can tell by that nice round corner. So it's the corner of the tooth that does all that work. The sides of the tooth right down, once we get about halfway and down below there, really doesn't do a lot of work. Now, if you're thinking of playing around with the grinder to do this type of profile, all as you've got to do, if your grinding wheel was sitting straight up and you was to dress it dead level, that would be 90 degrees like that. Now, top left-hand corner, there's a picture. Done that about 2 years ago. You'll see it's got 100 degrees. Now, the angle coming in, we still set our grinder up at 60 degrees. So that we've got a 60-degree angle. 60-degree angle is pretty uniform all around the whole world. You can go to 50 degrees, and even Husqvarna's is 40 degrees. So it's really aggressive. So you can do that. So you can play around. And if you do dress the wheel, try and tilt it down a little bit. So in other words, if this is the dressing block, you can tilt the dressing block down on an angle which will give you around 100 degrees. So that's okay as well. So don't be afraid to play around with a few degrees here or there. So, and you'll find out that it really does cut well because you've got that nice working corner. And you only need to come down about 1.5 mil. You really don't need to come down all this distance. I only made this tooth up because when I first started playing around with V-cut, I thought, well, this works all right. But then I found out, don't come down the side plate. You don't need to come down all that distance. So you can play around. You can come down. Now, the side of the grinding wheel, This will be where the side of the grinding wheel is. And when you put that angle on the bottom of the wheel, that's where that part is, that down angle there. So this angle that comes down on an angle is the side of the wheel, and this part here is the part that you dress. So yeah, aim around 110 degrees and aim coming down about halfway down the side plate maximum. That will be a beautiful profile. With our semi-chisel, which is the slowest, and our full chisel generally cuts up to 10% faster than the semi. This cuts probably about 5% faster than that. Hexa probably cuts about 10% faster. So it's in between Hexa. It's very similar to hexagonal shape. And as I said, I've noticed Husqvarna have had their X-Cut for quite a long time and still have had their Hexa, their Rapid Hexa, since I think they put a patent on it 2019. So you're going just over 4 years. So, and it really does work well. I've got the Rapid Hexa. It's got the narrower kerf. The kerf on 3/8 chain is 4.1 millimeters. That's the width of the tooth. They still intersect in the middle where the drive link is. And if you measure the outside of the left tooth and the outside of the right tooth, it is slightly narrower than a standard 3/8. The width of a standard 3/8 tooth is 4.5 millimeters. So the actual entire kerf of the Hexa is smaller. With this profile, no, you don't touch the kerf, but you get a very good cut, a much better cut than you do with the typical C shape. This just works that little bit better. And a lot of chains coming out, you'll notice if you look at a lot of the full chisel chains, they may have a little point, even if it's a 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter, right at the very front. It really does work well because it penetrates the timber really good and it pulls the chips out. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.